Hello and welcome to Kim Reads as we continue with A Free Woman on God's Earth. Chapter 7. 2 days later, Mr. Sedgwick issued a writ of replevin to Colonel Ashley. This is in order to take back stolen goods and property. The property in question was two people, Mumbet and Brom, who were declared as being held illegally. Two sheriffs arrived at Colonel Ashley's house, demanding that he release Mumbet, saying that she was being held unlawfully. Colonel Ashley, one of the sheriffs, said, "We are with this writ demanding you release the one slave named Bet." "What is the meaning of this?" Colonel Ashley said. "John, what is all this commotion?" Hanny Ashley demanded, coming downstairs in her dressing gown. "Go back upstairs, Hannah. I will deal with all of this." Mumbet stood beside the kitchen door watching and listening. At that moment, her heart soared because she knew Mr. Sedgwick was making good on his promise. Colonel Ashley was shocked. He knew these were sheriffs. He felt betrayed by the woman who had lived in his home all these years. "Bet," Mumbet walked purposely from out of the kitchen. "Bet, did you bring these allegations against me?" "I did, sir." "But you were my servant, Bet. We need you here. This is nonsense. You may not leave." "Master, I am not your servant. I am your slave, and as such have no freedom." Hannah, making no move upstairs, raised her voice and shouted down, "How dare you, you ungrateful wretch!" "Hannah, please," turning back to Bet, Colonel Ashley spoke again. "You are my servant, Bet. I have never treated you harshly, nor have I made extraordinary demands of you. Don't you have enough to eat, a warm place to sleep?" "But master," Mumbet said, holding up her arm, "I want my freedom. I have a right to it. I am not a beast. I am of mankind. The law says all men are free and equal." Colonel Ashley could not argue with what Bet said. His own work on the Sheffield Declaration had contributed to the thoughts expressed in the Massachusetts Constitution. Yet he refused to release Mumbet from bondage, claiming that if he were to give up Mumbet, his property, he would have to give up a bond, some security that if she were to not win her case, she would return to him. He sent away the sheriffs empty-handed. The same night, a second writ was delivered to Colonel Ashley's son, the general for Brom, who was suing alongside Mumbet. The general also refused to release his slave, arguing that the man had lawfully purchased. Theodore Sedgwick was not surprised by these events and ordered a new writ of replevin. A few days later, on June 5th, the sheriffs arrived at the Ashley house with another writ as well as a bond. The colonel had no choice but to accept matters as they stood. He watched as Mumbet gathered her daughter and her few possessions and stepped out of the house, perhaps never to return. Mumbet looked once more at the house and that had been her home for over 30 years. She would miss Sella and the herb garden and the nights under stars with her fellows. But freedom came with a price. Mumbet and her daughter walked to the Sedgwick home in Sheffield, where she had been offered a place in their house while waiting for the trial case to be tried. In return, she would help them with their 3 young children, Eliza, Francis, and Theodore. Brom promised the master, the general, he would continue to work for him until the case was settled, for he had nowhere else to go. And that's the end of that chapter. See you later.